Hello everyone, we're back at it again. We are going to look at Facebook's new layout. Really, it's just pretty superficial from what I'm seeing. There are a few elements that have come into it, and we will be covering those. Today we are going to talk about audience insights because I get a ton of questions about how I do my targeting, how I build out my audiences, and I'm just going to do an overview of all of that today. So to get to audience insights, you can't get to it directly from here. So you have to hit this little Rubik's Cube and then expand that view, scroll down, and audience insights is under analyze and reports. So once you're there, it will ask you if you want to target everyone on Facebook or people connected to your page. You can change this. I typically have don't show this again on here. But for the sake of this video, we turned it on, and really this is if you have a strong audience already and you want to leverage them and upsell them or do something that would leverage the connection you have with your audience already. This option is everybody on Facebook, and if you look just over it here, this is the new audience, people on Facebook, so 150 million to 200 million because you have no targeting happening. This is essentially everyone on Facebook that you're looking at right now. So we will go ahead and select this one because we want to target everyone. We're going outside of our range. We want to start finding new people to fill our sales pipeline, and this is how we do it. If your product is only in the United States, then you would add that right here. I'm going to leave it open for this one, and we're going to focus more on interests and other elements down here. So a couple cool tricks is if you post a video somewhere through your brand, through whatever you have connected through the business manager, you can go back and target that or target those people. So here's a little hack that if you post to a group underneath there and you just have a generic nonsensical video, you can target people inside of that group that have actually looked at it. So quick little tip, that's how one way that you can start doing that. But let's say we are looking for, people who like to spend time outdoors. We are a seasonal cabin by a lake in a beautiful campground, and we want to rent out those campgrounds, right? So we want to start to find people who fit the mold of those who we've already wanted to target, right? So there's a couple different ways. Is if we're starting from scratch, we can build this out. But if we have email addresses, we can put in those email addresses, first name, last name, things like that, and build an audience from there. We don't, so again, we're going to start off brand new. So we're going to start with some generic things. Cabin. So what I like to do is start looking for things where people have interest in subcomponents of there. I know log cabin might not be one of them, but it's going to start to pull in a few elements and then I refine back from there, right? So let's type in camping. Let's type in things like hiking trails, nature, and then I start to go a little bit further back into nature photography, water skiing because of the lake, again, fishing because of the lake, and I'll do a couple subsets of those. And when I feel like I have a pretty decent one and I know this is targeted out, what I'll do is I'll go into page likes. And before we get any further, let me hurry and explain a couple pieces to what Business Manager actually has, right? So up here, it shows you your new audience and people on Facebook. So this is essentially as you add more interests and add more things, this shows you your target audience. Then you have a tab of demographics, which we're just at, which gives you, again, things like men, women, married status, education level, careers, things like that. Page likes. This is a very powerful page actually after you enter in any interest, because this tells you what things tie these people based off these interests together, and then what the overlap is of those networks, those affinities. Location, just that, top cities, top countries, top languages. So you can go global, you can go local to your country. And then activity is basically how much they interact with your page, what they do, things like that, where what devices they use. But for this one, we'll be on page likes. Now, the one last piece that we have here is essentially the audience builder tool. This allows you to segment in on interests, on careers, on their connections to your page, whether they are or are not. And then if you clicked advanced, you can pull in languages, relationships, education, work, market segments, whether they're parents of new children or old children, political views, and then life events like moving and starting a new job and things like that. So let's go back up to the top. And what's intriguing about all these things that tie people who like nature together, there's IKEA, there's Groupon, there's Shop J Club, Cabela's. And so I'll actually take a few of these and start adding them in and watch these change if they do, right? So let's type a couple of these in. And then IKEA. I know this is strange, but it's been incredibly powerful for me to get like this, because what I'll do is I'll look for people who have these subset interests that my competitors aren't entirely targeting. I mean, they are through some of these, but I'm getting their central likes of where they shop for furniture, right? And I'm pulling in where they shop for sporting goods products. And so I'm pulling people in based off of these sub interests, and it allows me to not fight with these competitors who are spending on primary elements like hiking and things like that are very general interests. Now what gets really fun is when you start to geo-target. So let's say our cabin is in Oregon and we aren't moving it around anytime soon, and so we are going to hunt for people in Oregon. So we'll go for the state, and if we wanted to get a little bit more targeted, see that number just changed from about 100 million to 1.5 million. Let's say we want to get to Portland and target Portland, Oregon area. Hit OK, that changes out to Portland and Oregon. And now you start to see these really defined elements, and so you can pull some of these away if you wanted and add some of these in and target by them. So fantastic that Schmidt's Pizza, or Schmiz's, however you'd say that, Grub and Pizza are some of the primary eating locations of people that essentially share these passions, right? And so what you can do is start targeting those who like this for your cabin, and then maybe even do a strategic partnerships with this pub and pizza place to put up some flyers and some discount information or some cabin information inside of their spot. So you get really, really targeted on these specific places and interests. And now you're not fighting these very high budget type of locations that are trying to pull people away from there. But now you've narrowed in on a niche for your business, and you can continue growing that and building it out and out and out and out further. And what's really nice is if you do collect emails, like I mentioned at the first of this video, you can build a starting audience off those emails if you have them. And so it's very, very, very important to grab things like that: email, name, location, because it's going to help you build out your audience even better. And again, refer back to our persona builder, because that's a fantastic tool that once you actually build this out and you understand that here's your demographic and the primary of them, let's say you had a skew towards women, you could build a persona out for that woman. So actually, if you did that, if you built it out for women, you'll see that your primaries are right here, 30 and 24%. That makes up 55% of your entire audience network. And what you can do is now go build a persona about those people using this data and how they shop and how they interact with things. So they're primarily on their phone or Android. Um, Desktop is on there. Let's see what else. They are typically married. They have college education. They're in the arts. They're in sales. They're in management. I mean, you can build a really nice persona of these people using this sort of data and target them. And once you start to get wins off of them, refine the persona. And when I mean wins, you actually see these type of people converting and coming to your little cabin, then build a persona on them, and then that becomes your targeting almost every time. So if you want to grow it, you target those people because you know they're converting the most. And if not, you build 2 or 3 personas. Here's the man, here's the woman, here's the kid, and you target each of those type of things. Through the kid, you would obviously show the parents those ads. But that's exactly the strength of this audience insight builder, is it gives you so much information that you typically wouldn't get about the consumer. And Google has a similar one. That's for a different day. Check out our persona builder and use it along with audience insights and start building your persona. If you have any questions, please let us know.